Hi everyone, this is my commentary this week. So I was watching The Simpsons the other day, and it was the episode that Mayor Quimby is recalled from office, and Homer decides to replace Mayor Quimby as mayor, and he goes, "I'm going to run for mayor, but first I have to find out what a mayor does." I think you should probably know that before you run for mayor. But my commentary this week isn't on The Simpsons, although that would be fun. Anyway, my commentary this week is on how little we actually know about the duties of the public offices in municipalities. And the same can be said for senior levels of government as well, but I want to do this commentary to lead into my next in the series on how Canadian government works, about municipal officers and councils in Canada. So we have municipal elections coming up in Ontario, and those typically get the most attention. And Toronto, of course, the mayor's race is going to get probably the most attention of any race in the province. We're dealing with an office that's elected to represent about 4 million people, which actually makes it the biggest elected office population-wise in Canada. Don't forget, the Prime Minister is only elected, this one's only elected by about 100,000 people in Alberta. So it is the biggest elected office in Canada. And I wanted to talk about the promises made by one of the candidates. And I won't say who right now, I will later. But I wanted to begin by this talking about the role of the mayor and how little people actually know about the role of the mayor. There's two real models for mayors in Canada. The first is, in the world. The first is a strong mayor. Now you see this in places like New York City, that the mayor is actually a very strong political force. Some cases they have veto power, some cases they have power to fire staff members. And the mayor is more of a business type force. The other extreme is a weak mayor. We in Canada go somewhere in the middle. We have a weak mayor, but it's on the stronger side of weak mayor. So let's actually look at what the City of Toronto Act says the mayor does, because after all, that's sort of the job description. So the role of mayor is defined, first of all, as head of council. In all the other municipalities in Canada, will hear the word head of council. In Ontario, hear the word head of council used in the Act. Toronto is the only municipality in Ontario that has the role of the head of council defined specifically as the mayor. So you can't change the name of the head of council in Toronto. You can't say Toronto now has a reeve, or Toronto now has, could even go president of the municipality, because it's never actually defined for anywhere else but Toronto. So, or chair, warden, but there's a few different names. So the role as the mayor as head of council is to act as the chief executive officer of the city, to preside over meetings of council so that business can be carried out effectively and efficiently. This is designated to the Speaker of City Council, to provide leadership to the council, to represent the city at official functions, and to carry out the powers of the head of council under various acts, including, the Emergencies Act, stuff like that. But the problem is the chief executive officer function, up to 2005, was actually found in the Municipal Act until Toronto got its city charter. I'm doing a special episode on Toronto, so that'll be later on. but it never defined what the chief executive officer did. Chief executive officer was actually defined later on in the City of Toronto Act and in recent amendments to the Municipal Act as well. And the mayor's role as chief executive officer is to uphold the purposes of the municipality, to promote public interest and involvement in city activities, to act as a representative of the city within and outside the city, locally, nationally, and internationally, and to participate in and foster activities that enhance the economic, social, and environmental well-being of the city and its residents. You will notice that the powers to do stuff like direct and fire staff is not there. It's not given to the mayor under the Municipal Act, plain and simply. So I wanted to go into the promises of one of the candidates running for mayor and see what exactly it would take to enhance these promises and how realistic they actually are. So let me begin by saying this candidate's Rob Ford, and I don't want to make another I hate Rob Ford video. I think there's enough of that, frankly, and I'm not partisan, but I want to present exactly what Rob Ford is saying and how likely it is and how reasonable it is. So my favorite thing that Rob Ford is saying is we need to reduce council from about 56 members to 22. And he claims this will save $6 million a year, which accounts to about 0.65% of the city budget. We're not talking about a lot of money here. And what it would take to do that is it would take an act of council, a majority of council, with notice after hearings, appealable to the Ontario Municipal Board, the Divisional Court, and eventually the Supreme Court. His argument is we have 22 MPs and PPs in Toronto. We should have 22 members of council. My feeling is the OMB would probably say that's too few and would probably throw out the bylaw as not providing effective representation, since it is a principle of effective representation that municipal governments do have more people on their council, on their legislatures, than the senior levels of government. The second thing he wants to do is he wants to eliminate two of the new taxation measures which the City of Toronto recently came by. And that's the vehicle registration tax, which brings in about $56 to $60 million a year, and the land transfer tax, which brings in about $300 million a year. These actually do account for about 12% of the city budget. If you watch my last video, you won't see me talking about it in my municipal government video, because these are taxation powers in Ontario that only belongs to the City of Toronto. Nowhere else has that power. And he wants to cut 12% of the revenue for the City of Toronto while hiring 100 new police officers, improving garbage collection, and expanding the TTC. There's a few problems with this. First of all, municipalities cannot run operating budgets in Ontario, period, end of sentence. It is illegal for them to do that, and they could end up in municipal trusteeship for doing that under the Municipal Affairs Act. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, how's he going to pay for it? How are you going to get rid of 12% of the revenue for the city and do all these expansion of services? The 100 new police officers is not capital. The garbage is not capital. The expansion of the TTC, that's capital. They can borrow for that. But the 100 new police officers, the improvement to the garbage services he's planning, are not capital. They're operational, and you would have to either go into deficit or slash other city services for him to do that now. I know he might want to get rid of all the homeless shelters, but that's neither here or there. So that's my commentary. Please subscribe. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and I'll be back on Monday or Tuesday with the powers and functions of municipal councils in Canada. Hope everyone have a good weekend. See you later.